Catherine, and this is Catherine's Stitching Chronicles, my channel where I talk about my love of all things cross stitch. So we have finally made it to the end of organizing my stitching space. If you've been following along the series, it has been a very long process and it's been a lot of work. I definitely underestimated how much time this was gonna take. And I'm very happy to say that I did it. It's done. We made it to the end. I definitely learned a few things along the way. The first being that I have a lot of stuff. Oh my gosh. But it feels really, really good to have a better handle on everything that I have and really like know what's in my collection. And everything is so much more functional. It's already, I'm finding it so much easier to find things that I'm looking for or just like look at my stuff. It's just so much easier. It's a lot calmer. I know where everything is. And I'm so happy with how things have ended up after a couple months of putting in the time. The second big takeaway, I guess, is that organizing is not one size fits all. I definitely changed course on a couple of things throughout this process. You know, I would start doing things one way and then I would change my mind, or I would want to do something and then not do it, or vice versa, you know, like it was not a direct linear path. I'm sure even now I'm going to show how the room looks now and how my stuff is being kept. And I'm sure some of you are not going to like what I've done or feel that it's not like organized enough. But that's okay. And that's fine because it works for me. And what works for me might not work for you. And whether or not you like what I've done with my space and how things are looking, I think we can all agree that it's gonna be a huge improvement from where it started. So without any further ado, I'm gonna jump into a little tour of how my cupboards are looking, how all of my stuff is laid out now, and where all my supplies go now. So enjoy. Okay, so starting with my first cupboard on the very left of the room, this one I would say is like the most unchanged out of all of them. So I'll just do what I did before and just go like through each shelf and kind of talk about what's there. So up at the top we have my whips. So these are the ones that I'm working on or hope to work on in the next like month or so. So I've got kind of like a handful of different projects in there, but not a ton. And then this is my whips that I hope to work on sometime in the nearest future, but like not immediately. And these ones are like a higher priority, I would say, to get done than some of my other whips, which I'll get to in just a second. This shelf here is just like extra Q-snaps and pieces and stuff. This shelf is a little bit messy at the moment. Part of that is because I'm going on my honeymoon and I'm leaving in like 2 days and I just cannot be bothered to put away some of the stuff that's there. But in this box here, I have projects that are kitted up and like ready to start. So in one of my other videos, I did go through like all of my stuff that's kitted. I did de-kit a few things and put a lot of fabric like into the storage bins, but a few products are kept kitted up here. So there's like patterns, fabric, thread, beads, specialty stuff is in here. This stuff is, I have a couple pieces of fabric out for stuff that I plan to start when I get back from my honeymoon. That's leftover thread from Cherry Magpie that I just like haven't put away yet. And then there's some other Q-snap clamps and covers in there as well. This shelf is a little bit random. So this is like a summer or spring piece that I have. I have the summer one out right now. So this one's just being kept in here and I'll swap it out when it's springtime. And then I've got my table lamp and table stand as well as like an extra thread box. So that's just kind of like random extra stuff that I have. Moving down to this shelf, I have more project bags. So in here, this is more products that I have kitted up that I haven't started yet. But but that are a little bit more substantial in size and in terms of materials. So like I have a lot of fancy ladies and like mermaids in here. I think that's a Bella. Yeah. Some Christmas patterns. So those are all in there ready to start. And then this one is more whips, but these are ones that are like lower priority and that I don't necessarily plan to work on anytime soon. So for example, that is the Hade 2024 Sal. Haven't worked on it since the end of last year. Don't plan on pulling it out anytime soon. So it's down here. That's a Mirabilia. There are other fancy ladies that I want to work on first. So that one's down here. And so on. So that's why I have these ones down here, but I have other whips up there. Like those are the ones that I plan to work on a lot sooner. These ones don't need to be at eye level right now. This envelope here is just supplies that I have for the 12 Days of Christmas series from Nora Corbett. I'm on number 8 right now. Yeah, 8 Maids Milking, which is the 5th one that I'm working on. I'm working on them in descending order. And that's just like the extra supplies for the ones that I haven't started yet. I'm just keeping them all together in that package. Down on the bottom shelf, this is just extra project bags. I finished a couple things recently, so I've tossed the bags in there. And then this is all hoops. So hoops of literally every size, every material. They're all in here. And then I didn't really know where to put this, so I just put this in here. This is for scroll rods, oh my gosh, that use a Velcro system as opposed to like basting them onto the scroll rods. There are some that have this hook and loop system, so it'll be the fuzzy side of the Velcro on the rod, and then you attach this hooked tape to your project and you attach it on that way. So I have that in there as well. So that is the first cupboard. So now moving on to cupboard number 2. So this one is probably my favorite out of all of them just because of all the stuff that's in here. So that first cupboard over there was all like projects, whips, upcoming starts, that kind of thing. This cupboard in my mind is like, I'm starting a brand new project. I need supplies. Everything is in here. So starting at the top, I have my beloved fabric bins. This is like the greatest thing I could have ever done for myself, was organizing my fabric this way. So I've got 2 shelves full. This box here is 14 count Aida and 28 count even weave and linens. This is 16 count Aida and 32 count even weave and linens, sorry. And then this one here is 18 count Aida, 20 count Aida, 36 count linen and even weave, 40 count linen and even weave, and I have a piece of 25 count, possibly more than one piece of 25 count Lugana in here as well. So all the higher counts, because I have less of them, they all kind of fit in one bin. This is all like alternative materials to stitch on. So I have some tote bags that I can use with like waste canvas or water soluble canvas. Oh my gosh, I cannot pronounce any words today. I've got some tea towels in there. I have like an Afghan, napkins, all that kind of stuff is in there. This is also some alternative materials. Like I have some perforated paper in here. My waste canvas and stuff might actually be in here as well. I also have colored fabrics. So I have like a bunch of red. I have a lot of blues. So it's not like hand dyed and really modeled, but it's colorful. I also have any like scrap pieces in here as well. So just like small little offcuts or pieces that are left over from things that I've stitched before that aren't really big enough to be folded like that. All of that is in here. This bin is all the fabric that I have that is white or white adjacent. So there's like white, off-white, kind of yellowish white, all different counts. All of that is in there. I figure if I ever want to stitch something on white, then I can just go in here and find something that's gonna work. And then if I ever wanna dye anything as well, then I can find something in here that'll work for that. I definitely don't need to buy anything new. And then on the side here, and I have this one piece here. This is all pieces of Aida. I think it's all Aida, like from Michaels, that comes in these tubes. I just left it like this. It's not ideal, but I just didn't want to have to like undo and repackage all of these, so I just left them as they are. And then I have some of these long cuts from Michaels of like, oh my God. Okay, actually I'm not gonna pull it out, but you can buy these like really huge pieces that are rolled up of Aida from Michaels. I have a couple of those, so I'll put that back in there. So that's all the stuff that just like wouldn't fit in the bins is stacked there. And then that one's up here because it's too long, so it has to go sideways. But this is amazing. This is like literally the best thing I could have ever done. And it's so much fun to just like pull down a bin and look at what I have. So I love this. Moving down, we can get into thread. So this is not perfect, but it's better. And I do need to spend some time like finishing all of this, but it's better, and that's really all that I care about right now. So this is all DMC. So, excuse me, oh my goodness. Starting with like DMC number 1, going through all the way to 3866, I think is the last one. It's all in order. I've left spaces for the bobbins that are currently like with projects, but those boxes are going to be pretty packed when all my bobbins are in there. And I just have the one continuous set instead of like 2 or 3 different sets going on. I do have a secondary set here, which I would consider like my master set. So these are on plastic bobbins. They're all nicely labeled. They're all labeled the same way. And I just have one of every single color. So eventually I will have one of every single color. I do have a list going of the DMCs that I'm missing. That's just not something that I've gotten to at this point in time. Here's where things get interesting. So that's just a random bin of things that I need to put away. Ignore that. This was a bunch of, stuff that I got from Mo Sale. And I just haven't figured out how I want to kind of deal with that just yet. So I just left it in the bag that it came in. And then this little bag here is all my other specialty or like fancy flosses. So get this open. There we go. So I've got Roxy Floss in here, Forbidden Fiber Co., Classic Color Works, Weeks Dye Works, etc. I feel like I don't have enough fancy floss to really justify like a floss wall or a pegboard or something. So I just got it all in here. And like you can see, I've kind of got the right amount to fill this bag. So when I outgrow this, I'll find another solution. But for now, this is going to do the job. Moving down a shelf, here is where I have all my Kreinik, all my beads, and more beads. And then I have some of these extra like cylindrical plastic containers. So I just got those pushed in there. This is all extra DMC that is not bobbinated, and I have duplicates. That's another thing that eventually, you know, I will find a better solution, but for now, at least it's contained and it's all in the same place. I do also have a collection here going of flosses that I need to bobbinate to populate my master set. But time has gotten away from me. It hasn't happened yet, but that will be a project maybe like over the winter. But for now, all extra DMC is right there. Over to the left, this is all my kits. So I've got a lot in here, everything from like a blanket to, what are some other fun things in here? Like Christmas ornaments. That's a little freebie that I got at a retreat. light switch cover, all kinds of stuff. All the kits are there. And then this pile here is all books. So like actual physical cross stitch books. So I don't have a lot, I just have a couple. So I just put them in a stack here. And now finally moving to the bottom shelf. These are all patterns. So the left one here, I have like some paper patterns, like all my Mirabilias are there. Little pattern like booklets and pamphlets and stuff. So that's all in there. This one, there's a lot of magazines. So I did kind of try to keep them separated like that. So that's those two bins right there. This is just a couple more patterns that were just kind of like the fabric, like they were just kind of big and unwieldy, and I didn't really know how to make those fit into a box, so I just left them as they were. And then this is just some like extra sewing thread that just fit in that little nook right there. So that is cupboard number 2. Moving on to cupboard number 3, I didn't really show a whole lot about this one actually, and frankly this one didn't really get a whole lot of attention just because of what's in here. Like there wasn't really much for me to do, but I will show you what's in here. So starting first with the top of the cupboard, I just throw my iron up here, and I have this little thing that you can use to like hold up papers. I just keep them up there so they're not on my desk all the time. Up at the top, this is where I keep my finishes. So there's quite a few things here that are done that haven't been framed or otherwise fully finished. You know, they'll get finished when they get finished. I have this frame pulled out because I think that'll fit in there. So that's why that's there. Moving down, I have frames. There's more frames down there, but it's just all frames. Coming down here, so this is kind of busting open right now, but this is all my finishing materials. So I've got the polyfill there, I've got trims, thread is in here, my glue gun, buttons, all that kind of stuff is all in this bin here. So if I want to finish a pillow or, you know, whatever it is, I can just pull this baby out and all the stuff that I'm going to need is in here. This binder and this box here are all patterns that I've stitched. So the actual physical patterns themselves I still have, and I'm just keeping them in here. This is just like extra felt, which I've talked about before, has kind of like multiple uses. This is acid-free foam board. Again, when finishing things, I just have it tossed in here. And this is sticky mat board, which also can be used for finishing. Down here, I've got more frames. These are more like smaller sizes, some extra hanging materials. And this is a project roll. So this is a DMC brand one. I bought it because I found it. You don't have to buy a DMC brand one. I'm sure other people make and sell them, but I wanted one and I found that, so I got it. It's just handy for transporting projects when you don't want them to get really wrinkled. There's some other stuff at the bottom, but we don't need to go through that because it's literally just like bags and stuff. So that is cupboard number 3. Okay, so I did skip a couple of small areas that I just don't feel like I need to show you. So the first being my little drawer of my desk where I have like my extra needles, my extra scissors, all that kind of stuff. It really hasn't changed. There's not much to see. I also do still have a big bin in my closet. So I'm just using that to store like my extra scroll rods and, you know, frame pieces. That kind of stuff is just really clunky and doesn't fit anywhere else. So I do have it in a big bin in my closet. But again, there's not really much to see. It's not that exciting. Finally, I do also have my cute little pink rolling cart. That is kind of a work in progress right now to just decide how I want to use it and like where I actually want to put it in my room. And in my mind, like I need to decide where I want to put it before I can decide how I want to use it. So We'll get there, but it's just kind of being used as miscellaneous storage right now, so don't need to see that. So that officially wraps this series up. We're finally at the end. Thank you so much for following along and keeping me motivated throughout this very long process. Let me know in the comments if you have any like ideas for any fun FlossTube extra videos that you'd like to see from me. I had a really great time making some videos that weren't just like regular FlossTube updates showing my whips and everything. As much as I love doing that, it was really fun to do something a little bit different. So let me know if there's anything that you want to see. And until the next time I see you, happy stitching. Bye.